sure I'm not the only person in the world who completely forgot about student loans. I just checked and I owe like a lot of money, and apparently I'm like late on my payments.
Listen, if you have student loans that are no longer being paused or no longer in forbearance, check them immediately. Immediately. Because as we know, the federal government has recently come out to say that as of August 1st, 2025, interest will begin to accrue on federal student loans when interest had not been accruing for years, like during the pandemic. Yeah, the new administration was like, bump that. Interest is starting to accrue. Now, that does not necessarily mean that you have to start making payments, but I would say log in, go ahead and log in and see, and just double check to make sure your payments still say zero. But this is becoming a reality for many people.
What are you guys doing? Are you guys like paying your student loans back? Because I'm a 26-year-old baby girl. I'm a teenage girl. How?
Literally, like I'm just a girl. I'm literally 12 is how I feel. Like what is a student loan? I completely agree with her.
Am I supposed to pay back student loans when I don't even have a job? No, like I'm actually like really overwhelmed. Does anybody have any tips?
That made me feel sad. Get the emails out. Activate the emails. Like, I'm not going to get on my soapbox about student loans. I'll say that for another video. But I can definitely feel where she's coming from. Let's see what the comments say. EMM said, if you have federal loans, apply for the Save Repayment Plan. It's on the FAFSA loan website. This was like over a year ago. Okay, so a little outdated, but yeah. The current administration is trying to do away with repayment plan that could be advantageous to the working class. So yeah. Juliet said, I literally cannot afford a place to live and pay back student loans at the same time. And the crazy part, or like the unfortunate part about this, is becoming more and more people's everyday reality. Like, wait till I show you some of these other videos of where their student loans, like how much people were paying previously and how much they have to pay under, like when they kick back in. Isabel said, I panic about it on a daily basis and pretend it doesn't exist. Hope this helps. Yeah. And the thing that I really hate about student loans is one of the most difficult types of debt to be discharged in bankruptcy, if you're even able to discharge it in bankruptcy. Like, it's one of the most difficult debts to get rid of. And I low-key think that's by design. But again, I'm going to say that for a video because I have so many, not necessarily conspiracy theories, because I think a lot of this is intentional, but I just want to do a deep dive on student loans and really peel back the layers on you know what I'm saying? So this young lady says, POV, the federal student loan servicer changes and they randomly decide to increase your monthly payment to an amount no person could afford. Okay, so her current monthly payment is $647.34. That's a little high, but I wonder how many loans she has. Let's see what her new monthly payment is going to be. Yikes! Wait a minute. That is 6 times her current monthly payment. That is enough for a very nice home. That's enough for a mortgage on a nice house. $36.40? That's wild. That's wild. Put it in the comments if your student loans have increased. And if so, like, what was your reaction? Let me know in the comments.
How is anybody affording their student loan payment? My credit score dropped 100 points this week. I checked my credit score and refreshed the big Experian thing, and it literally dropped 100 points.
And the reason why this, like, I'm so gobsmacked is because she is young, and there are things that she's still going to need her credit for. Home, car, employment, potentially, car insurance. There's a lot of things that are not really talked about that oftentimes our credit is checked against. I hate this for her. 100 points is a lot. That can move you from good to fair, or excellent to fair, good to poor, like across a different brackets, if you will, or ranges. That's wild.
My credit's now poor, and I can't afford
What I just say.
to make student loan payments in my current budget, in my current salary, which includes no savings, no health insurance, like nothing, you know what I mean?
Literally, student loans is leaving people destitute out here. No savings. Prior to the student loan, she doesn't have any savings. No health insurance is wild in America. That is a risky game financially. And I know some people out here don't have health insurance. And that's just the reality of the situation given the system that we're in. So I'm not faulting her. But this is heartbreaking, knowing that she literally cannot afford to make the payment. So that just means that her credit is going to continue to suffer. Oh man.
Every week that I get paid, 90% of it gets transferred into my savings to account for bills, and I'm $400 past due on my student loans. There's $5,000 and some change left on my student loans, and I've paid. The original balance was like $8,000, and I've paid over $12,000 already.
So that tells me she's a long term or she has a high interest rate.
Since 2016 and then through COVID, like I literally
Almost 9 years? Woo.
I only make $55,000 a year, and it barely pays for my life. Like
Yeah. That's the reality for millions of people, especially with the cost of things having skyrocketed over these last 5 years or so compared to pre-pandemic numbers. Like cost of living is going up, rent, mortgage, utilities, gas, car insurance, loans for cars. So your car note is increased, like everything costs more. And so all that simply means is that the financial cushion that you think you might have, you no longer have just because your essential expenses is higher. It really grinds my gears, but I feel for her. I feel for her. I hope that she is able to find some type of cushion, whether that be through additional income, like a side job. But she's saying 90% of her income goes towards bills. So it doesn't seem like she's living this extravagant life. It seems like she's just living on the essentials, and the essentials, like the money that she's bringing in, is just covering the essentials. So when this student loan payment comes up, there is no extra for the student loan. Yeah, I always feel for those types of situations. Let's look at the comments and say, Chris Barlow said, praying your student loans get forgiveness. I got home forgiven this week. Maybe some. I got some forgiven this week. That's really good. I think the administration, or just not even this current administration, previous administrations too, I think they could have done a hell of a better job in advocating for student loan forgiveness. I know a lot of people did get their student loans forgiven, but it was always for unique situations and cases. Whereas when they campaigned about it, when they talked about it prior to being elected, they talked about it as if it was going to be for the majority of people. And that just was not the reality. So yeah, I feel some kind of way, as most people should. Jay said, I ignore all that. They took my tax returns. I'm not good at adulting. Yeah. Dean said, bro, I owe over 100K. They're literally never seeing that money. And I chuckle not because it's funny, even though he laughs, so I feel like I could laugh too, but also because a lot of people are just so fed up where they're like, okay, you just ain't getting it because I ain't got it. If I ain't got it, you ain't getting it. And I don't fault people, but I just know as someone who is really entrenched in like finances, I know how difficult it is when that starts negatively impacting you, when your credit score goes down, when you can't get it discharged in bankruptcy. Student loans is just that debt that will forever hang over your shoulders, like no matter what. And then if they get the ability to garnish wages, it's like tax returns, bro, that's wild to me. Okay, let me keep going. Shauna said, this is one of the reasons why I was sobbing and really being political on my pages, because we are sinking. Okay. Grow Girl for Life says, those loans aren't priority. Living bills first, it's super hard. Things just get paid when they do. I feel your frustration wholeheartedly. Yeah, like the reality of the situation is that a lot of people are experiencing this when it comes to student loans. I think the good thing is that a lot of people were able to have their student loans placed into forbearance when the pandemic was happening. But I think the government really sold people a dream when they were talking about, oh, you could get $10,000 forgiven or $25,000. I think somebody actually said $50,000 at one point. That just didn't come to be. And my thing is that lets me know that the federal government understands the hardship. You understand the reality of what people are facing. And 5 years later, you literally have done nothing to help the majority. Have they helped some people? Yes. But have they helped the majority? No. And then to add insult to injury, now these student loans, like the interest has started accruing as of August 1st, And so now, even though you don't have to make payments, but all that essentially means is that the total balance that you owe is going to balloon because interest is starting to accrue, interest is starting to stack up, but you're not making payments, right? And even if you are making payments, sometimes now, as we've seen, your payments have ballooned as well. So it's like you can't even afford to make the minimum payment because it's so much higher than what you were expecting or what you were paying previously. All in all, it's a complete shit show, in my opinion, in terms of how the government handled this. And I think I'm going to say my thoughts for a video because I have a lot of thoughts on the student loan industry, how it came to be, the rise in the cost of going to college over these last few decades and how that's really ballooned. And people we have to take some accountability in it, right? You should go to college for a career that's going to yield a return, right? But I just think oftentimes that is not people's perspectives because you weren't taught to be that way. You weren't taught to go to college and be so strategic and intentional about it. Yeah, so many mixed feels. I'm curious to know your thoughts when it comes to student loans. Do you have student loans? And if you do you have to start making payments or are they currently in forbearance? I have student loans and they are currently in forbearance, but I also know that the interest is starting to accrue. And I'm at the point now where financially I am laser focused in on paying my student loans off. Like that is my focus for the next, I would say, year and a half because I don't really have much other debt. So I can really laser focus in on my student loans. But I recognize that's not everyone's reality. Some people are just barely getting by. Or if you're doing more than just barely getting by, you may not necessarily have the income to pay $3,600 freaking dollars for the student loan. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. Student loans is crazy.